All right, my thoughts on Ozempic. I know this is outside of my normal content that I share, but I felt the need to share it because I'm reading this book. I'm doing the 75 hard. I'm on day 58, and I normally don't take any medication unless I absolutely have to. I'll even let a headache go on and try to cure it with drinking more water or whatever it is and figure out why I have the headache before I'll take headache medicine. I'm already a diabetic, type 1, and I already have to take insulin, so I don't like to give my money to the pharmaceutical industry any more than I have to. Anyways, that being said, I feel like if you are going to take Ozempic, you should at least have all the information and be well informed of the possible side effects that come with it. So for the 75 hard, you have to read 10 pages of a personal development book every day, which I'm reading Fat and Unhappy right now, and it's basically talking about how the body positivity movement started with well intentions and of accepting your body, and the models on magazines are all photoshopped, so be happy with who you are. And then it morphed into this obesity movement, which isn't healthy. You don't see huge obese old people because sadly they die young, and that's not fair. And the world pushing obesity on people. Anyways, Ozempic is supposed to help that, but if it just forces you to gain weight again, then it's no help. Okay, I wanted to read a little part out of the book for you real quick. It's not very long. Permanent treatment to a preventable problem that already has a cure. In May 2023, the Wall Street Journal reported on Ozempic patients who quickly regained weight after they stopped taking the medication. Patient testimonies have focused not only on the dramatic effects of their waistline, but also on how quickly many seem to pack the pounds back on if they stop taking the injections, the journal read. That may not be ideal for patients, but for Wall Street, it is a feature rather than a bug. Ozempic's website lists nausea, diarrhea, stomach pains, vomiting, and constipation as the medication's common side effects. The weekly injections, however, have also reportedly led to a spike in emergency room visits with patients suffering blurred vision, pancreatitis, malnutrition, and drooping faces. There's even a name for the latter, Ozempic face. That's scary. Do doctors tell you this when you start taking Ozempic, or do they just go over the most common side effects that don't seem that bad? Meanwhile, patients on Ozempic can expect to lose far more than just fat. Research from the drug's own manufacturer following patients who took the injections over a 50-week period found an average 40% of the weight loss was muscle. Other studies have linked GLP-1 agonists with pancreatitis, bowel obstruction, and gastroparesis, however you say that. And drug makers are now being sued over claims of stomach paralysis. The drugs are even changing users' personalities by manipulating dopamine levels in the brain to reduce drive for other activities which induce rewards such as alcohol and sex. In other words, semaglutide is hardly some kind of miracle elixir to rescue the nation from its swelling crisis. In 2022, New York Magazine's The Cut offered a blunt feature on the new weight loss remedy with a warning in the headline: "You might go through hell for your post-Ozempic body." Considering 40% of weight loss is often muscle, it might not even be healthy, which often leaves ex-users frustrated and depressed. Most prescribers find they gain even more weight back once they're off the Ozempic regimen. People who used the injection should also be prepared to be hungry. Once the injections cease, the cravings come roaring back. That's kind of scary. I mean, if you're going to take a drug like that, you should at least know all of the side effects and all of the negatives of the drug. So I think that drugs have their place, but I also think that we should be well informed before we take them. All right, and one last little paragraph from the book before I let y'all go for the day. Doctors are trained to treat symptoms of disease instead of the disease itself. Rather than address the root cause of diseases with comprehensive lifestyle changes, physicians and patients alike are eager to collaborate on a quick fix to enable the incumbent habits likely making consumers sick in the first place. Medical providers, meanwhile, are wined and dined by representatives from the pharmaceutical industry with lavish meals, trips, and even tickets to major sport events in exchange for signing prescriptions for companies' lucrative medications. The more gifts physicians receive from representatives of the pharmaceutical industry, the less likely providers believe their industry relationships influence prescription habits. I don't think that should be allowed. I don't think that doctors and stuff should get kickbacks, and I also think that they should be required to have go through some kind of updated training every year. I have to do it as a flight attendant, so why don't doctors have to go through and update? Kind of okay, for example, the food pyramid. You remember the food pyramid, how the bottom one was grains and pastas? That's not healthy. That's not the biggest kind of stuff that you should be eating in a day. I've been doing carnivore, and I've never felt better in my life. My energy is through the roof and everything. So, and that food pyramid was sponsored by Kellogg's or something crazy like that. like I just don't trust it. And then there's cholesterol. High cholesterol isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't remember if it's this book or the last one I read. They talk about how cholesterol, people with lower cholesterol actually have more health issues than people with higher cholesterol. And you can't tell anything from a regular cholesterol test that the doctors give you. You actually have to go and get a more in-depth test that shows if your high cholesterol, whatever one, the LDL or whatever it is, I don't know. If the bad one is light and fluffy, it's fine. And if they're like small and sink, then that's what causes your issues. So you can't even tell anything from that regular test they give you. So anyways, do some more research. Another book, so this one's called Fat and Unhappy, and another book is that I really, really liked is called Why We Get Sick, and that was eye-opening. And it basically talks about how insulin resistance is like the number one cause of all of our diseases, almost all of our diseases, insulin resistance, which as a diabetic, I had no idea. So anyways, check those books out if you're curious about it. At least do your research before taking random ass drugs.